Okay then, I'm sharing my screen. You should be able to see it now. And so, we already did one series. First of all, I apologize. Windows 10 has decided that this should be my default PDF browser for some reason. I just did an update and it's reset all my settings. I love it. So I'm back to default settings. Anyways, Geometry Wars Retro Evolved is the game that I have selected to represent our twin stick shooter examination. Now, we did another game already, and we talked about desktop settings and maximizing screens and minimizing and dragging and all that good stuff that goes with a windowed or full screen game. And at the end of that, we inserted a discussion about gamepads and joysticks. But this time around, I want to really focus in on a game that represents the target. And so our target for this game is a twin stick shooter that also has some nice elements. Geometry Wars Retro Evolved came out, I believe, in I want to say like 96, but it could have been before. Anyways, I'm sure there's a wiki on it. It's quite an old game, but I have to say, when I first saw this game and played it, I thought, wow, that is, I used the horrible word simple. It's a simple game. Well, it's a simple game in the sense that they really tuned down the graphics and they use basic shapes, geometry, obviously. But having gone and started to implement a clone of this game, I came to the realization, as one often does, that there's a lot more going on underneath the hood than expected. This screenshot that you're seeing here is it's a perfect example of that, which is why I put it up first. I'll get to this in a minute, but one of the things that we're going to deal with is this game has a tremendous amount of stuff going on at one time, a tremendous number of objects on the screen. What you're seeing here is any typical moment of gameplay. Once you get past like 5 minutes, it's just chaos on the screen. There's particles flying everywhere and special effects going on in the background and a zillion enemies trying to kill you. I can't even find the player right now. I'm looking for it. I don't see him. He's in here, but lost. It's the kind of thing you can't even, actually, it's right here in the middle. You can't even see it unless the game is moving. So, okay, before I launch into the whole overview, what I'm going to do is give a quick overview of this game. But again, the focus is going to be on twin stick, so 2 joysticks working together, and a few buttons on the gamepad. And then what we'll do is, at the end of the game, I will quickly modify it to be mobile capable, and we will replace the joystick inputs with on-screen joysticks and some buttons, so that we'll be ready to do this on both mobile and desktop. Sort of backwards, I think, from where we started previously. Okay, so Geometry Wars Retro Evolved, and I'm going to give some links at the end of this discussion. But if you have not played this game, please go get it. You can get it on Windows. I'm pretty sure you can get it for OS X. And if not, you can get it for mobile. So the goal of the game is very simple. Stay alive. You get 3 lives. You can acquire more as the game goes on. And if you lose them all, the game is over. Another goal, destroy enemies or avoid enemies. But pretty much you're going to have to kill them all, because if you don't destroy them, the game gets filled with more and more. And as I said, earn lives. So to keep yourself going, you need to earn more lives. And that's really all there is to the game. As far as the game logic goes, you start off with 3 lives. You can earn more lives, and everything is based on points. The more points you get, the more lives you earn, the more upgrades you get for your weapon, the more mines and other things that you get, and the more difficult the game gets. The game ends when you are out of lives. You earn points, as I said, for killing enemies. I'm reading my own notes here. And an interesting thing about this game, now, it's hard to see it without looking at the source code, but from playing it a number of times and examining it, what I think is going on here is there are no specific levels so much as the game gets more difficult as time progresses. So at 5 minutes in, it's pretty difficult, but at 10 minutes in, it's significantly more difficult. And this difficulty resets every time you die. So if you lose a life for a few moments, the difficulty ramps way down, and then it sort of ramps back up again to where you were before you died, but it does it on a much more intense curve than from the beginning of the game. So let's say you've been playing it for 5 minutes and it's been gradually ramping up, then you die, then it gets easy for about 30 seconds, and then it quickly ramps back up to where you were at when you died previously. One thing that's worth noting is when you die, all of the on-screen enemies are removed, and that gives you a nice clear starting point. So all the enemies are destroyed, your player is respawned, and then the level starts to populate with enemies again. As I said, this is going to be a twin-stick shooter, which is going to be the left and right joysticks on a gamepad. And it will also involve at least one more button for dropping what I call mines, but I think they may be named something else in the wiki. And there's a wiki to go with this game for folks to read up more details about it. And as I said, at the end of the series, what we'll do is we'll reconnect the inputs to dual virtual joysticks on the screen. So this screenshot here is actually from a different version of this game. I think this is from the third one in the series. But the concept is the same. They've done this for mobile, and you can see two circles on the screen. And these are virtual joysticks where you'd put your thumbs and treat it just like a normal joystick. Let's see. So the player, everything in this game is very simple graphically. And simple's not a good word. I really hate that word, but basic. So for my implementation, I'm going to be using basic shapes, just textures with no special artwork. And so the player, for example, will be an image we'll be using physics for movement and for collision. And it will be able to move in any direction based on the inputs from the left joystick. And I'll show you this in a minute. And it will be able to fire in any direction based on inputs from the right joystick. And this is what the player looks like. Unfortunately, I don't have any high-res images, so I just had to snap these out of gameplay and then post them up on the screen. This is one of those games that no matter how much I talk to it, you absolutely must go play it so you have a firm grounding in what we're trying to achieve, and then you'll appreciate the challenges that we're facing in this series to get anywhere near the visual fidelity